going to proceed without her, but Dr. Ken Harris did confirm, and actually he's here. So let me bring him on up. Everybody put your city and state in the chat. Tonight's conversation is about the oldest trade association for Black people and businesses of color. This is the National Business League. We are going to be joined by Dr. Ken Harris, who is here in the building. Hello, sir.
How you doing, sister?
Doing good, doing good. We're going to give people another couple of minutes to come on in.
I'm here. Yeah, take your time. I'm here.
I'm on triple duty right now in the household, but it's okay.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yes. So I'll tease everybody. If I have a family member that says, oh, I'm just going to be gone for an hour, and like 5 hours later, they still haven't returned. But yeah, it's all good though.
You can handle it.
So everybody put a 1 in the chat if you are familiar with the National Business League. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 2 in the chat if you've never heard of it, don't really know what it is. Put in the 3 in the chat if you've heard the name, but you really don't know what it is. Oh, so we see a lot of 2s here, Dr. Ken. I'm seeing a lot of 2s here. So you have your work cut out for you today to tell everyone, first of all, what NBL is, and then how we are using it to build Black wealth. So yes, and everybody, please put your city and state in the chat as well, so that Dr. Ken can know where you're coming from.
Oh, I see the chat over here. Okay.
Yes. And we are, let's see. We're going to get started officially. So hello, everybody. Welcome to the 10K Project. We are the nation's largest community of investors, period, who actively fund Black-owned businesses. And we are super excited. Every Monday we come and we do what we call a fireside chat at 6 p.m. And we talk about all sorts of wealth building within the community. Sometimes we talk about real estate or stock options or things like that. Today we have a special guest here, Dr. Ken Harris, who is the head of the National Business League, which is last year celebrated 120 years, if I'm correct. So we're super excited. He is from the Big D, that's Detroit. So we want to say shout out to everybody here from Detroit. We've got Chicago in the house. We've got DC, Vegas, Michigan, Chicago. Aaron saying love the head wrap. Thank you so much. California, Memphis, Philadelphia, Herndon, Virginia, DMV, Georgia, North Carolina. Yes, we've got Virginia Beach, we've got Houston, Bay Area, Atlanta, another Georgia. Georgia's representing today. Georgia, and New York. So perfect. Well, that's fine, Dr. Ken. I'm going to, first of all, share my screen here and welcome you to the 10K Project. For all of our members, number 1 is if you are not receiving the text messages for the Bet on Black Pitches and you want to receive a text message when the Bet on Black Pitches will occur, you need to text 10K to 202-410-4202. Make sure you grab this number right now. 10K. I'm going to text it to 202-410-4202. So what is the 10K Project? We are a community of everyday people who invest in Black-owned businesses. It is time for us not only to get our seats at the table, but for us to start building our own tables. And the way that we do this within the 10K Project is we do it by funding our own businesses. So You may say, I'm not a venture capitalist. I'm not an angel investor. I can't write a $300,000 check. It doesn't require that within the 10K project. Businesses are a little known way for us to build wealth within the community. And when Vanessa Braxton was here last summer, she did a presentation for us called How the Wealthy Invest in the Stock Market. And for the most part, they don't buy a lot of stocks on the stock exchange. They buy stocks when they are private enterprises. Well, this triply helps Black America, because when we start funding our own businesses, it helps provide jobs in the community, it creates economic stability, and it helps all of us grow and access a greater piece of the pie. However, when a business starts, they need money to start and grow. And there are two major problems that we have within the community. Number one is that Black businesses are least likely to be funded. And number two is, by the time everyday people like you and I find out about these great opportunities, it's often too late because most of the profits have been made. That is, if that business is fortunate enough to be funded. But thanks to the Jobs Act of 2012, Black entrepreneurs have another option to get the money they need from regular people like us. We are called the crowd, and this is called crowdfunding. And the way that equity crowdfunding works within the 10K project is, number one, it is regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission and FINRA, which is the Financial Industry Regulatory Agency. And entrepreneurs must work through an SEC-approved equity crowdfunding portal to raise money. I've got to change this now, because you can officially raise from $10,000 to $5 million. And if you're an entrepreneur, you want to learn more from an entrepreneurial point, how you can raise this money, you want to come tomorrow night at 6 p.m. We're having a session for entrepreneurs. But investors, just know that the entrepreneurs have to go through an equity crowdfunding portal. Then every week, Tuesdays at 8 p.m., we have something called a Bet on Black pitch, where we select an entrepreneur of the week, and they come to talk about their business, answer questions from the community about their business. What are they going to do with the money? How much are they raising, etc. And then you, as an individual person, gets to review their business plan, research the company, and if you as an individual likes that business and likes that deal, you can invest in exchange for equity or partial ownership or shares in that company. And then if the company makes it big, the crowd shares in the profit. If not, investors only lose what they put into the company. So again, we can start funding our own companies, profit from our own innovation, create jobs, and build Black wealth. That is the essence of the 10K project. So we are the nation's largest community of small dollar investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses using the equity crowdfunding method. And we want to do a big shout out, because a couple of weeks ago, we had Guidance Whiskey come on and do his Bet on Black pitch. Not only was he successful with his raise, he made a record on the Honeycomb platform. So we're so excited. I want to say a big congratulations to Jason. Honeycomb Credit actually reached out to Tawana and said, it wasn't only because of 10K project, but it's a testimony to the 10K project and what your community did to help Jason. And they recognize this, not just Jason, but also the platform that he was on. So we want to say definitely congratulations to this person, Jason, congratulations. And it's the funny story is I had my money ready. I went on the last day and it was already closed. So I missed out. So next time, if you see something, we're not telling you to rush your investment. We're just saying don't wait until the last minute, because you may come to the campaign and discover that there's no more space for you. So the ecosystem we're building here is composed of 3 different groups of people. Number one are the entrepreneurs that want to raise capital. Number two are the investors, everyday people from the community who have small amounts of dollars and want to actively fund Black-owned businesses. And then number three are the product and service providers. So before, during, and after these companies raise money, they're going to need CPAs to help them with the financials, attorneys, patent attorneys, trademark attorneys, entity attorneys, digital marketers, merchant services. We have within our Knowledge Center, we have the expert directory. We're asking everybody to put your service in the expert directory, because as these companies are growing, one of the things we're asking them to do is come back to the community in order to find the people that they need in order to grow their businesses. And as Tawana's been talking with people, this has been one of the things that has excited the entrepreneurs as well. So everybody, please make sure to put your information in the Knowledge Center. We want to invite you to become a member. It is a one-time payment of $100. You get access for life. You get to attend the Bet on Black pitches that happen every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You get to add your information to the expert directory. We also have members-only wealth building webinars every Tuesday. We have peer-to-peer conversations, and there's also exclusive content in the Knowledge Center. So you can come to the10kproject.com in order to become a member. And today, just some upcoming events. Tomorrow, we do have Brian Belly coming in. For those of you who want to raise anywhere from $10,000 to $5 million, you can go to the10kproject.com in order to sign up for that event. Then tomorrow night at 8 p.m., we do have our Bet on Black pitch. And on Friday, we are ending our Marketing March drive with our final session on utilizing email campaigns to drive sales. That is specifically for members, but if you want to know how to do that, you can come check your emails, members, for the link. Okay then, and don't forget 10K to 202-410-4202 if you want to receive the text messages to remind you about the Bet on Black pitches. So with that, Dr. Ken, and if anybody has questions, let me know.
All right, I am actually logging onto my other computer right now for the presentation.
Okay, all righty then. So,
all right, I had to switch up on us. All
you
right.
had to switch computers. I'm going to mute your other computer then, so that way we don't get feedback. Okay, perfect. Let me know when you're ready.
All right, can I share my screen here?
Let's see here. Let me make you a co-host.
All right.
I think that's the right one. Let me know if you're able to do it.
Yes, I think I'm in here. Then I'm going to say play. All right.
You got it? It should say share screen.
Can you see my screen?
No, we can't.
Oh, hold on one second. Okay.
Yeah, try it now. See, it should say share screen at the bottom.
Show. Okay, let's see here. Let's go back up. Sorry for the technical difficulties. All right. And I promise you it'll be well worth it. All right. Okay.
Yes, because we want to know all about NBL and how, what you're doing in order to help build Black wealth. And I will say as well, if you all are not friends with Dr. Ken on LinkedIn, you're missing so much. He posts so much great information on LinkedIn.
We see now?
Yep, we can see you. We can see it.
All right, perfect. All right. All right, I had to switch up, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today. In the midst of our economic recovery during COVID-19. So I'm hoping that everyone has not only been able to pivot, but also to survive and hopefully in a position of actually thriving during this time period. Thank you, Sharif, for the introduction. Again, my name is Dr. Ken Harris. I'm the president and CEO of the National Business League. I became the 12th president in 2017. And what I will do is walk you all through a brief presentation of about 8 slides or so regarding the organization. And what I will do, let me push mute because I hear an echo on my office.
Oh, Dr. Ken, now we can't hear you. Oops.
All right, how is this now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Everybody put a 4 in the chat if you can hear Dr. Ken and there's no echo. Put a 5 in the chat if you hear an echo or anything like that.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
Okay, cool. All right, well, let's dig into it. So our organization has been around for quite some time, founded by the iconic Booker T. Washington. Many of you have probably heard of Booker T. But if you haven't heard of the National Negro Business League, it was one of his major accomplishments post-slavery. Booker T, all of you all, if you haven't known about the history of Booker T, was one of the foremost profound pioneers post-slavery to move us into really having an essential voice in America. Not only was he an educator, an author, an orator, an advisor to multiple presidents of the United States, but during his time period, he was able to accomplish a great deal to move Black America forward. Most importantly, his greatest accomplishment was founding the National Negro Business League, which is now called the National Business League today. And if you all are part of an HBCU, historically Black college or university, in which I am as well, many of you can go visit as he was the first president and principal developer and founder of Tuskegee Normal Institute, which we call Tuskegee University today. I actually, with my background, went to Clark Atlanta University for my undergrad. Did my bachelor's and first master's there in counseling and clinical psych. Then I went on to receive my educational specialist degree in educational leadership and public policy from Wayne State University, and also my PhD at Michigan State University in economics, dual PhD in economics and Black studies. And so with that, I've taken on the pursuits of leading this organization into the future, which this organization was founded on August the 23rd, 1900. We so proudly celebrated 120 years as of August last year, and we are on a year-long centennial as we continue to move forward. So such an exciting time. As you can see, the original cast in 1900 who helped establish this organization. We are the first and largest nonprofit, nonpartisan, non-sectarian Black business and professional trade association in the country. We have host over 120,000 members nationwide, with our regional offices in Atlanta, Georgia, Detroit, Michigan, Los Angeles, California, and also Washington, D.C. As well as I manage from our headquarter office in Washington, D.C. and Detroit, Michigan, 367 local chapters across the country, in which there are local business leagues who carry on our programmatic activity. We have also provide access to more than 2.6 million Black businesses across the country. Our mission is quite simple, to inspire an entrepreneurial revolution of Black businessmen and women throughout the globe to achieve economic freedom. And as you can see, since the beginning of time here in America, we've had a hard time with that. So Booker T's vision and mission is more relevant today than it was 120 years ago. Our vision is to create a world where economic freedom for Black business is a right for all and not just for the privileged few. Our purpose is to challenge Black businesses to rise up and reach their full entrepreneurial and economic destiny. And as we would say as a motto, and I'm sure that you all agree, is that the revolution will not be televised, it shall be digitized. Again, our national infrastructure is as such with our national offices in Atlanta, Detroit, LA, and DC. And we are also opening up a new international office in Cape Town, South Africa, as we just signed our MOU. And we're actually hosting an event tomorrow with the US Embassy to South Africa. So if you all have not had a chance to sign up for that event, over 1,500 people have registered. And we'll be hosting our US South African Black Business Summit tomorrow. You can go to my LinkedIn page and get more information. Again, these are the demographics. I always like to lead with facts and statistics and data as an economist. And so in terms of the census, we employ 1.2 million folks across the country as Black business owners. So we have significant influence in terms of our ability to employ our own. We have to do better, and this should be a focus of our own, and that every Black business should be an employer of many Black people is a major philosophy. We consume more than $1.5 trillion in purchasing power and buying power as a community. And as business owners, we produce more than 128 billion in total revenue annually. This is larger than most GDPs of major countries across the world, including Mexico, Canada, and Australia. So as a Black community, we have significant ability to generate wealth. Although we're just 13% of the population, we have more than 2.6 million Black businesses, which are growing 3 times the national rate. And out of the 2.6 million Black businesses, 60% of them are Black-owned women. Black women are the fastest group of entrepreneurs in the country, regardless of race, creed, color, sexual orientation, or gender. So it's good to have those facts. Also, our platform to prosperity, we focus on 9 major initiatives, one being access to capital resources and technical assistance. Our chapters or league chapters that we have across the country, and our student business leagues, growth and development, closing the digital and technological divide, contracting, procurement, and supplier development, economic advocacy, where we advocate on Capitol Hill and with the White House and with Congress, global commerce and trade, holistic entrepreneurship training and development, racial equity and inclusion. And what we mean by racial equity is Black equity and inclusion, and talent placement and acquisition. Our national events that we have approaching, coming up for the 3rd and 4th quarter, is our National Black Access to Capital Conference presented by Comerica Bank, which is in October. Our National Black Supplier Conference, celebrating our 35th annual event, will be held in November, and our National Economic Advocacy Conference in September. With that being said, we have so many major national initiatives. We'll be launching relatively shortly in the month of June, our National Black Business Agenda and Campaign. We have currently our National Black Capital Access Program that we are developing with Comerica Bank, where they've committed over $1 million annually to produce this program. Our National Black Supplier Development Program, in which we're making a huge announcement in the next month. Our National Black Talent Pipeline to connect Black talent from HBCUs and PWIs, predominantly white institutions, with Black entrepreneurs in business, and also Fortune 500 opportunities. Our National Community Development and Financial Institution Initiative, where we are forming our own CDFI to provide access to capital for entrepreneurs across the country. We were also fortunate enough to be a recipient of the $10 million MBDA CARES Act program with the federal government, and we have an official MOU with the U.S. Department of Commerce and the Minority Business Development Agency, and some of our other initiatives. And so with that, our membership levels for our organization as we launch our campaign that'll be coming up soon is the community can join for free. Individuals can join at $10. And depending on your employees and things of that nature, you can join as a small business starting at $19. And of course, we have institutions that can join and also corporations that can join, in which we have over 125 Fortune 500 corporate partners. As some of our national partners across the country, we are in strategic relationships and MOUs with the $1 Billion Roundtable, the National Minority Supplier Development Council, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the U.S. Department of Commerce, and the U.S. Small Business Administration. And so with that, I really wanted to not only highlight and give you guys an overview of our organization, but I will answer any questions. I hope that that was informative for people.
That was informative, but I have like 8 questions here. So everybody put your questions in the Q&A. So first of all, I want to take a step back and have you talk a little bit about the 120,000 members that are part of NBL, right? Because that's a lot of people. What is NBL doing to galvanize all of these people, add more people in? You know, you're doing a great job, because I know who you are through Dr. Keisha, but we had a lot of people in here who had never heard of NBL. So I'm very curious, as you take a step back, you've looked, looking post-pandemic, what is your, I guess, big plan in order to, get the word out more and in order to galvanize the people that you have?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it's not a misnomer that the Black business community has always been disconnected from the ecosystem, the economic ecosystems in our local environments. And so you can use as an example the stimulus packages 1 and 2 that came through the CARES Act that missed Black businesses and most small businesses in America. And so out of the 2.6 million, as there have been chambers of commerce and business leagues and all these local environments, most of your entrepreneurs aren't connected to those ecosystems. Mm-hmm. And so with that, if you're not in the know, if you're not engaged, if you are not participating in events and things of that nature, or don't have a connection to your local institution, you're kind of out there on your own. So that's why we are really working aggressively to move into the digital platform. I think the digital platform will allow for us to have more connectivity to the marketplace. And most importantly, those businesses that are kind of out there on their own, right? Most people, when you ask in many scenarios, and I'm a professor, so, you will ask about our own Black history as Black people. And you ask them who was the founder of Black History Month, and most people will say, I don't know. So we got a lot of work to do in terms of our culture, in terms of our education, in terms of engaging each other. We have been successful both politically, socially, and educationally. Where we have not turned the corner is economically. Mm-hmm. But I believe this is our frontier. This is the opportunity for this generation to make this a staple in what I call just a moment in time in which we've had a number of different revolutions, right? We had post-Reconstruction, in which we entered into the Reconstruction period, was probably the fastest growth segment of Black people during our existence before Jim Crow and things of that nature and segregation came into play. And then our next revolution was the Renaissance Revolution, where all the people who benefited from Reconstruction began to exert their Black identity and power at that time. And we had leaders rise up like Elijah Muhammad in the Nation of Islam. We had Marcus Garvey and the UNIA movement, et cetera. And then we move into what we call the Black Power movement, the civil rights movement, where I guess people, again, enough was enough, right? We were tired of being disconnected. We were tired of being marginalized, isolated, and disenfranchised. We were tired of the overt racism and white supremacy in this country. And so we got civil, what I call half rights, because it didn't include economics.
Mm-hmm.
And we had affirmative, what I call the piece of an action, or what Nixon called it, a fraction of the action, where they taught us to get a small piece of the pie, to let a few Black folks fight over those small pieces, as opposed to having a mindset of owning and controlling the whole pie. And so there's a new mindset towards that. And as we move further into the future, you know, this is about where we should be focused right now. And you see the Black Lives Matter movement, which is a movement that is focused on not only our civil liberties, but most young people, when I ask in my classroom, how many would like to own a business or go into business for themselves or work for someone else, 95% of the young people say they want to own their own business, even if they are currently working for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so the mindset is shifting from get an education to go get a job to now go get an education to create a job. And this is where I believe that now, not only will this revolution not be televised, it will be digitized, because the young people in this world are going to push for economic independence and empowerment. And that is going to be the next frontier for Black people. So
Okay.
I hope that answered your question.
Yes. I'm going to come back to it, though, because I think that there's more for us to dissect there. I want to take a step back where we start talking about how do we start businesses to create jobs. So everyone here knows I'm a business plan writer. You may not know that, Dr. Ken. And I've written a lot of business plans for a lot of different companies, a lot of different founders of other ethnicities, where they could go to their, community respectfully and get people to stroke $25,000 checks. I was in a room, gentleman raised $600,000 in one night, So I've been on both sides with my Black entrepreneurs, which is why I started the 10K project, because I'm like, if we're buying Black, maybe we would invest Black too. But one of the things that I noticed with other ethnicities is they're really good at having 5 people come together to create $1 billion business versus one person coming and saying, I want to create a $200,000 business. I wondered if I could get your thoughts with regards to the types of businesses that we're starting, because you mentioned, for example, that Black women are starting businesses at rates higher than any other ethnic group or gender. However, when we look at the average Black female-owned business, it's only making $24,000, according to Black Enterprise. So we're still not there with regards to economic parity if perhaps we're not starting the right types of businesses, or we're not starting with enough capital. You probably have more insight with regard to that. And we are here investors. So we're looking for great Black-owned businesses to support that could be 20 million, 50 million, 100 million, billion-dollar unicorns, over time. So I would love for you to talk about that with regards to, groups of 5 to 7 people coming together to create the next unicorn, as well as us starting businesses that don't make as much money as some of our counterparts.
Yeah, no question. And a lot of your questions they have a lot of prongs to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is no one answer for everything. But one thing that I can say is education is the key to our liberation. If we are not informed, if we are not engaged, if we are not connected to the resources that are available to us to fight what has been pronged against us since we left the plantation. And when we left the plantation, every mechanism was put in place for us not to achieve economically. And so when we look at Black Wall Street, this is not brain science to the Black community once we have a visual of what it looks like. There was a time where, we went right into businesses just like the Asian community, the Arab community, and everyone else. But those groups didn't experience not only the governmental policies that created barriers to entry, the systematic segregation laws, the terroristic activity that happened when we formed Black Wall Streets all across America, in Durham and Atlanta, not just Tulsa, Oklahoma, Chicago, Detroit. You can go all across the country. So for a time period, we were entrepreneurially focused. We didn't want to work for anyone else. And so once we know our history and we know where we come from, and I take it, our story did not start with slavery, sister. We are the founders of civilization. We are the founders of economies. When you go back to ancient society and you look on the walls and you see in the hieroglyphs of Kemet and in the temples of Egypt and Cairo and things of that nature, you see Black entrepreneurial genius, right? And we taught the world how to produce and trade and form economies and businesses. And so again, our story didn't start with slavery. We go back to ancient history, but even the 400 plus years of persecution, look at where we are as a people. We're talking about how do we overcome systemic white supremacy and racism and the systems, institutions, and structures that have kept us out of this game. So at one point, we couldn't go to a bank. We couldn't access capital. You couldn't get insurance. You couldn't borrow money. You couldn't do any of these things. And that was just 40, 50 years ago. And you're still seeing the banking industry strongly disconnected from the Black community. So if we don't understand capital, if we don't understand how money influences our businesses, and more importantly, we're divided and conquered. So if everybody is stressed out, worried about a job, things of that nature, trying to survive, how can you come together as a community when you're focused on your own survival? So these things are very systemic in terms of how the community is now coming together and rising up above all of the oppression, above all of the barriers to entry into the marketplace, and our ability to phenomenally do what you are doing and so many other folks are trying to do right now, which is to bring capital into the Black marketplace. And once we are able to connect the two, I think we're going to solve a lot of problems.
So then, follow-up question. We saw after George Floyd, we're starting to see a flood of Fortune 500 companies pledging, money to, some of them will just say Black only. Some of them will say people of color, right? You just had Goldman Sachs pledging $10 billion to Black women. What are your thoughts with regards to these programs? Because it seems like there is, pretty much every week, a couple of Fortune 500 companies coming out saying this is our program, but you're smiling. So I'm very curious because you have connections with some of these companies as well. What is the disconnect?
Oh, no. Look, in the way society is structured, it's structured for those in the know and the wealthy and well-connected to benefit from society's resources. And so by class, you can see the disparity gaps that exist. But yes, with that, an organization like ours, which have been around for 120 years, we have over 125 Fortune 500 company corporate partners. We launched a program last year in partnership with Amex. We gave out 10 million in grants to Black businesses across the country to seed them during this economic recovery period during COVID-19. We partnered with over several different major Fortune 500 companies up to the tune of $100 million or so as an organization to disperse resources into the Black marketplace, which only scratched the surface, right, as one organization. But in its entirety, we look at where we must go now. I mean, we have to challenge the system. And that's why we've maintained our independence as an organization from the political system and corporations. Politicians can't sit on our board. We're 100% Black owned. Corporations can't sit on our board to use money to have influence over our decision making, or if we have to challenge them. And where we're challenging corporate America now in the public and private sector as to where there's good and bad is that we have to get past press conferences and platitudes. And when we can get past press conferences and platitudes to start implementing policy that is going to effectuate our ability to access different programs and initiatives to get us towards the capital that we need to expand and grow in the marketplace, this is what our organization is going to have to do. And so we're at the table, we're pushing the envelope, we're advocating on behalf of Black business. And that's the power of getting past individuals and personalities. We have to be institution driven in our approach, because that's how you move the needle. To challenge institutions, systems, and structures that have benefited the white race and its supremacy and racism, which keeps it intact, we have to form other institutions on our behalf that can challenge the current system that is in place. And so that's what we got to do, because we owe what we're owed, right? There has to be reconciliation, reparation, and repatriation of the monies that are owed to us, as we are co-owners in the wealth of this country. And that's just a historical fact. And one, as I tell white folks all the time, you can't stop evolution. Within the next 10 to 20 years, the majority of this country will be majority Black and brown. So your majority consumer base will come from those who are obviously marginalized, isolated, and disconnected from the ecosystem. And so for us to be a prosperous country, we have to change our mindset. We have to change the way that we look at the disenfranchised and the socially and economically controlled population. And so, yes, we got not only a fight with us, but those CEOs who do get it, who understand it, it's time to level the playing field. They are not using benign neglect terms like minority and people of color and everything they can use to not say Black. I don't deal with those people anyway, you know, and when I have the opportunity, I correct people as well. So if you're not talking straight Black, you're not talking to me, right? And so we have to be honest and true in the way that we position ourselves and articulate ourselves, but more importantly, not look to anyone and be dependent on anyone. I think we have everything that we need to be successful as a Black community, only, like you said, if we come together.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I don't think, and I've said this to the community before, and Ms. Vivian, I do see your question in the Q&A, I will get to it. I've said to the community before that it doesn't take all of us, it takes a mighty few that get together and say, you know what, we're going to come together, we're going to, I do believe we need to be more strategic in the types of businesses that we're starting, and we need to take lessons from other ethnicities who do have people who coordinate, you know, this group of people are going to be doctors, this group of people are going to be lawyers, like they did in the 40s. I'm not going to say the group of people, but you can guess who they are. But they coordinated that. They had an issue in Europe with the Holocaust, and they said never again. They discovered we did not have the right lawyers in the right place. We didn't have the right people in the right place to fight this. That's why they got into media. And that's one of the things we talked about within the membership of the 10K Project, was because media, they discovered the power of media during that time. And, you know, I do think that we need to, and you can comment on this, Dr. Ken, we need to start again thinking about not just, y'all know I love my barbecue sauces, but not just starting another barbecue sauce, another shea butter company. I love y'all, please. But us thinking, how can we get 4, 5, 6, 7 smart people together to come up with the next blockchain project, the next AI project, getting into clean technology, and then not only just having the smart, scientists and people like that, but all of the operations people that need to surround that business so that, again, we can start building these 9-figure, 10-figure businesses. What are your thoughts with regards to what I just said there?
Oh, no question. I mean, there's no perfect time in our evolution than to focus on economic and entrepreneurial empowerment. This is the time to do it. You have more educated Black people in the United States of America than we've ever had since our existence. So the intellectual expertise and capital is there. Most importantly, in terms of industry, it's a ground level in terms of what the digital economy provides, the knowledge-based economy provides for us right now. There's going to be a huge shift in creation of new millionaires in terms of business. So every industry is open for opportunity. I always
not millionaires, people, billionaires.
Yeah, billionaires or trillionaires. I mean, we can break, there shouldn't be a ceiling that we have in front of us. And so as long as we're focused on us, my advice is always this: get to know your history. Go back to ancient civilization. Remind yourself of who you are and where you come from. Slavery was a small glitch in our long historical trajectory in life. All right. We are the founders and civilizers of society and of humanity. Black women birth humanity. And so when we get back to our essence, mind, body, soul, and spirit, we start to rebalance ourselves. We start to look after ourselves in a way to where we are producing a holistic entrepreneur, not just someone focused on money, not someone just focused on the sexiness of being an entrepreneur, but building real generational wealth for our families. And then once we are able to really become centered, we start to eat right. We start to go into our ancestry in terms of our spiritual awareness and our abilities to do the impossible, to be innovative, to not only take a concept and from where it was as a standard bearer, but to break that standard and innovate way past what it was originally created for in terms of a commodity, good, product, or service. And so what I would say is entrepreneurship is in our essence, it's in our spirit. You don't have to be a business owner to be entrepreneurship minded in everything that you do. And this is why Black women are gravitating towards entrepreneurship so expediently, is because it provides the work-life balance lifestyle of a Black woman who loves to be of the community, who loves to be of her family, of her husband, of her chosen endeavor in life. And so you're seeing the Black woman restoring herself and gaining her independence and gaining back her power, which is the biggest chess piece in the game. Because once the Black woman is back strong, everything else is easy. And so the Black man will now come out of a strong situation, and we will move so fast towards economic independence, but not only economic independence, economic dominance, because that's what melanated people do. When we learn something, when we master something, when we become experts at something, we dominate and we innovate. And that's what we are. And so we are headed in that direction, sister. I think this is a beautiful time through the struggle, through the fire, because we're learning who we are, and we needed to go through what we needed to go through to be great again and to return back to our natural place in civilization. And that is what is happening, not just here in the United States, but all across the globe, in Africa, throughout the Pan-African diaspora, throughout the Caribbean, and our South American Black and brown brothers and sisters. And so this is our time to establish ourselves and have a new mindset to aim towards wealth. And this is how it's going to be done with organizations like yours, who are now focused not like a shotgun, but like a sniper.
Yeah,
and that is how you are focused, sister. You are saying, I'm going to take my 10K and I'm going to influence this niche. And then once I influence that niche, I'm going to expand it and grow it because my hypothesis was proven correct, right? And so it's our time, sister. So I'm excited about everything that's in front of us. And you have one organization, the National Negro Business League, which is now the National Business League, but there are so many other organizations. We are a tribal people. There should not be one monolithic group, because that is how European society operates. We don't operate in monolithic or egotistical ways of living. We operate in communicable, societal, tribal ways, and we come together with all of our strengths to make an imperfect situation almost perfect. So this is where we must go, but we must focus on Black, and we must be about Black identity, Black history, Black concepts, and supporting each and of our own within the community.
Yeah, and I will say, and we've had this conversation amongst our members, is that one of the issues is we feel like we don't know what's happening with these organizations. So, there was a time when my grandmother in the 60s and 70s was very tuned into what was happening at the NAACP. I rarely know what's happening with the NAACP or, the Urban League or some of these other organizations. And even though we are tribal, and Antoine Hines is coming in a couple of weeks, everybody, to talk about this. Even though the organizations are tribal, it would be nice for everybody to get on the same page and just let the community know overall. Let's take the election that just happened. Hey, with this election, we are asking for 3 things, and no matter what organization it is, no matter who it is, on mainstream media to digital media, whatever, everybody's in sync with these are the 3 things that we want. And, that's why I think some of us, I'm going to speak for the 75 people that's in here right now, because I think y'all put a 7 in the chat if you agree with me. I think one of the frustrations is we feel like nothing is happening anywhere. Put a 7 in the chat if you think that. Put in 8 in the chat if you think I'm crazy. Yeah, you see the 7s where we're like, I consider myself halfway tuned in, and I rarely hear stuff. Now I hear things from different places just because I'm connected differently. But somebody's saying I'm crazy. Oh, but I'm not crazy. 8, but you're not crazy. Yeah.
You're not crazy, Marie. I just think, in society, we've been programmed and ingrained to always worry about what everybody else is doing. And I think you hit the nail on the head earlier. Sometimes within your tribe, take the 2 or 3 people that you are close to, and you go make it happen, right?
But can your tribe join our tribe, and we can form like a heck of a tribe?
No question about it. And but what I'm saying is let's not get caught up in this great unification of Black people.
I can respect
Black people will never be on one accord, but we can have an overarching mission. We can have an overarching a goal to achieve Black racial economic independence and empowerment, and we can aim towards that and support one another. And I think most importantly, when it's something that's positive and it's impactful and it brings value to people's lives, Black people will wrap around that so fast and never let go. So we just got to go do the work. And right now it's about doing the work, right? And so even with our organization, we don't worry about what anybody else is doing. We take what our small sphere of influence is. We focus on our core principles that I outlined to you, and we do the best that we can. And our local chapters, which have local leadership, we push them to do the best that they can, and we allow the spirit to do the rest, right?
I like that. So I received that, Dr. Ken, because that was something that had been bothering me, but I received it.
Yeah. So with that, and our synergy is even more as we talk to each other and as we feel each other. You're like, wow, we are actually on one accord. We just need to talk to each other and know what each other is doing so we can move forward. Right.
Right.
That's it.
Right. I agree. So we have two questions. We got 5 minutes left, but I want to make sure I get
I'm
to
here.
the questions in the
I'm
Q&A.
here.
Oh, you're
I'm
here?
here.
Okay, so
Yeah,
everybody,
I'm
we
here.
may go like 5 minutes over. Miss Vivian is asking, what programs do you have to encourage our youth to become entrepreneurs? Any kind of scholarships or grants?
Yeah, so now we are actually going to revamp and relaunch our student business leagues, which was created in the 1940s. And so now that I have all the information, I've actually traveled to colleges. I've actually traveled back to Tuskegee. I've pulled the archives to look at the infrastructure, to pull it apart and put it back together in a digital virtual platform. And so now we are going to actually recharter student business leagues at every single HBCU across the country and PWI, so that they can start talking about not just talking about entrepreneurship, getting into entrepreneurship. And so we perfectly believe as entrepreneurs, plan A eventually becomes plan B, plan M, or plan Z, right? So the goal as an entrepreneur is to just jump out there, right? If you have a concept, don't be afraid. Do your homework, learn what you need to learn, but the best way to move forward is to actually move forward. Don't get stuck in pontificating till ad nauseum. Please don't get stuck with that. Move forward with your entrepreneurial dreams. And so, yes, in terms of the colleges and universities, we talked to university presidents. They are excited about us doing this. They would love those type of mechanisms on campus. And so we're excited about the future with that. So stay tuned.
Yeah. And then Chris is asking, first of all, saying this is great, but how do we attract those who don't understand this movement? I know every Black person won't get it, but so many just need to be triggered.
Oh, no question. And that's what we plan to launch coming up forward. So as an organization, I can only speak for my organization. I know there are tons of other organizations and chambers out there, but within my infrastructure, we are going to push a Black economic agenda. We're going to handhold our community into the process, and we're going to bring major partnership to the table to accomplish this goal where everyone can get involved with this movement, not just the few who are connected and well connected. That's it. It's time to get in the streets. It's time to touch the people who need us most. And we got to get resources to those who are basically out there and have no idea about a chamber or a business league or a grant or a loan or a 10K program. Those are the people that we got to touch, and we got to do it through a click of a button.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I don't know how you felt about this, but it'd be nice to, bring back Ice Cube and Dr. Sandy Darity and some of the other things that they were talking about even. I thought that they had some great ideas, within their.
Yeah. So my mentor is Dr. Claude Anderson. I actually talked to Doc this morning. And his motto is more prevalent today than it was even more. He's been consulting with not only Ice Cube, other folks who are really looking to put forward an agenda. So like I said,
I love Dr. Claude. He's actually been here. And, so this goes back then to us bringing our agenda to the politicians, because how in the world are you going to have a reparations discussion on Capitol Hill without Dr. Claude? Like, certain things. Turn in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. Like, I'm like, what in the world? What in the world just happened a couple of months ago with that whole discussion? But we love Dr. Claude.
But it's almost like Cherie is too much to be right, and that's why we can't be dependent in our fervor, right?
Yeah, sure.
It's going to be us focusing on us, because if you got knowledge, you got power, you got money, you got influence, they don't want to touch you, right? And so they're going to do everything they can so that you don't make it to that next step. And so society and systems, institutions, and structures have taught us that now it's time for us to do what we do best, which is focus on us. And when we focus on us and we're not worried about a handout, we're not worried about charity, we're not dependent on the system anymore. We just looking out for us and using every available and means necessary for us to be successful economically. That's when we are going to reclaim our place in society.
I agree. I definitely agree. Well, with that, those were the questions that I saw in the Q&A. I see people on YouTube. I'm loving you
Hello
guys
out
on
there.
YouTube. So don't forget to like the video and subscribe, everybody that's on YouTube. On Facebook, don't forget to give us a thumbs up there too. We have so many people watching across our platforms. We're appreciative of that. My final
Yes.
question to you, Dr. Ken,
Yes.
is what help do you need within NBL to get it to, the next milestone of greatness? Like, what help does NBL need, or what's your
Yeah.
greatest need?
So no, it's just going to be time when we turn the light switch on and we call our tribes together. We
Mhm,
want your tribe to join in with the mission. And when we kick this thing off, we're going to kick it off with Black excellence. And right
mhm,
now, during this time period, during COVID-19, this was an excellent opportunity for Black businesses to reassess themselves, to
mhm,
learn how to pivot and move into the technology and digital age. And this is all preparation that I believe that is divine. And within
mhm,
that divine spiritualness that we all have, which is unique because we're all connected through energy, vibration, and frequency, you can feel that vibration is coming. And so
mhm,
with that, organizations like ours are so prone on making sure that that infrastructure is in place, that now that we have a national and global infrastructure that we can mobilize people, we're going to do our best. And so I'm going to give folks a few books that they could read to help them gain some knowledge on this. First of all, we're not asking for a handout. So when affirmative action was white, you guys need to get that book, all right, by Katz Nelson. Also, white rage. I want you guys to understand the unspoken truth of our racial divide. And then, most importantly, look at the cost of privilege, right? And the new book that came out called Caste, because I want you to understand the systems, institutions, and structures that have prevented us from gaining economic independence and success. And then The Color of Money, Black Banks and the Radical Wealth Gap by Dr. Baradoran. If you haven't read that book, it talks about how the banking and capital industry locked us out of the game. And most importantly, The Color of Law, why we have been precluded to the economic spaces and segregated so that we cannot have access to these ecosystems that white people are able to deploy when they come up with an idea. And
mhm.
so with that being said, it's our time, educate ourselves, get your mind right, your spirit right, your body right, erase all those toxins out of your life so that you are speaking positive manifestations into the world. Anything negative, detach away from it and focus on you in the future, knowledge of self. If you don't have knowledge of yourself, if you cannot take care of yourself, you cannot help anyone else. So we got to get our own houses in order, our families together, and it's time to talk about economic independence and wealth. And I'm excited about it, and we're going to work together, Cherie. I'm
Yeah,
proud of what
absolutely.
you're doing. I'm proud of you, sister.
Yeah. Well,
Strong
I think
Black
we need
woman.
to work together because you have the entrepreneurs, we have the investors, we're building our investor network. I think we can't do it without each other, you
Yeah.
know? So Chris is asking,
Yes.
Ice Cube is someone who can bring in street-oriented guys. I think it's needed. Do you agree or disagree?
Oh, facts.
Yes, I
100%.
agree.
That's where the movement is. Actually,
Yeah.
the most phenomenal entrepreneurs that we have in the game right now are that are innovative, are coming with capital, are in the entertainment and music industry,
Mm-hmm.
period. In technology. And so when you look at once we are able to mobilize and get that mindset, that entrepreneurial mindset unified, because they have it in the hip hop industry, they have it in the entertainment industry, but we're isolated. We're separated. And I think P. Diddy said he wanted to start his own political,
Yeah,
economic
political.
party things.
Yeah.
It's a great mindset, but basically what he's saying is, folks, we need to get together on our own agenda. We
Mm-hmm.
need to focus on us. And if folks aren't delivering their promises, which they have shown us for over 400 years, dude, that thesis has already been proven. Why do
Yeah,
we
just
keep
vote them
going
out.
back? Yeah,
Yeah.
why do we keep going back asking for a handout?
Yeah.
We don't need the system to be successful. What we need is our own individual identity structure, systems, and institutions, and we can drive this ourselves. And when we connect with our brothers across the land in Africa and throughout the global Pan-African diaspora, it's over with. It's game match. So let's focus on us. So my brother, yes, Ice Cube and any other entertainer, we need to connect with them and involve them in the movement. No question.
And not just the entertainers. So when you say street, so I'm going to say that, like, for example, I'm white collar professional. I think you need me just as much as you need the street guys, or, you need various levels, even certain members of the boule you're going to need as well. So in order for this to run, we just don't need everybody. And I think it's essential for us not to exclude people just because we don't like the way they talk, or they're from, a certain area of the country and we're from someplace else. Or Dr. Ken is a doctor, he's a scholar, and someone else may just have a high school degree. I think that's where we end up in trouble. But if you and I are on the same level in terms of our thought processes and where we're going, I don't care where you're from,
Yeah, no question. And we call a spade, right? Not everybody that's got black skin is black, but let's help them be black, right? By showing black excellence. And so that's why whenever we present ourselves, we need to come with our A game, and we need to come unapologetic, and it needs to be black centered in our ideology. And I think the young generation, they already there.
They're getting it. They're getting it.
You look at the 21 and under generation, because they grew up under the chokings and the killings and all of the different movements that have taken place in the last decade. Their mindset is already there. Like, we're not playing this game.
Well, I think we all grew up under it, but I think it's on social media, and it's been, and I think probably more of their non-Black friends are also starting to ask them about it as well, which is starting to change the perspective that, we didn't have in the 80s, for example. So,
because the gig is up. We know that white supremacy was created in the late 17th century for racial, social, and political control of Black people. We know that race is a created concept. We know that for a fact. So even the white people who are poor and at a certain class level, they are almost treated just like Black people because of their class, right? So we know this. And so what people are saying is the gig is up. All of this racism and classism that has impacted this country, we are no longer, that's not the world that we want to live in. And so we're going to speak out for Black Lives Matter. I'm tired of being judged and being called a racist as a little kid, even though there are some racist young people out there who have been trained and programmed to be that way. But at the end of the day, humanity is not set up to be that way. So you can't stop evolution.
So I'm going to put in the chat here, everybody. This is the nationalbusinessleague.org, nationalbusinessleague.org. If you want to, I would suggest you get on the NBL newsletter. So if you go to nationalbusinessleague.org, get on the newsletter, stay in touch with NBL. I'm just putting it in on all the social channels here. Stay in touch with NBL in terms of what they're doing. We're going to definitely invite Dr. Ken back. And Dr. Ken, I'm going to contact you tomorrow so you and I could have a quick 15-minute chat and talk about some stuff we could do behind the scenes as well. We want to thank you so much for coming to have this conversation with us today. And Denise is asking, is there a directory of Black-owned businesses that can be joined at the NBL? Do you have a directory?
Oh, absolutely. We have all of that stuff. So stay tuned for our new campaign that we're launching. We have a global Black business directory that you can access through your app, the NBL app, the phone, and all of that good stuff.
Perfect.
So stay tuned. We have been working during COVID to prepare for the post-COVID revolution.
There's going to be a post-COVID economic. Yeah, there's economists that are saying there's going to be an economic boom, a post-COVID economic boom. So so I've been encouraging people to get ready for it. Get ready. So
get ready, because this will be the differentiator between those who did the work and those who are sitting around complaining and watching others.
And it's not too late. You got about 60 to 90 days to get ready for what's happening in the summertime. This is what I'm understanding from the economists and the business leaders that I'm working with. I even, in my own business, am getting ready with something special. So, all righty then. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Ken, for being here. Yes. And I hope everyone has a great evening. And we will see you tomorrow for the Bet on Black pitch and for the session for entrepreneurs if you want to raise up to $5 million for your business. Okay, everybody?
Stay
Night.
Black.